The dust was hot beneath her hands. The sharp stones cut her skin, but she didn't stop. She couldn't stop. She had no legs, while others walked proudly in the sun, choosing their mates, laughing. Wearing bright fabrics and shiny beads, she crawled like an animal, like something forgotten by the stars. Her name was rarely spoken. They called her Crawl Girl, no legs, useless. In her alien village, beauty and strength meant everything. Females with strong bodies were chosen by males to become mothers. But her, she wasn't even looked at. She wasn't even pitied. The day of the choosing festival arrived. It was the day every young female hoped for. Males from other villages came to offer gifts, to find partners, to begin the cycle of family and honor. The air was filled with music, scents of rare fruit, and the soft humming of the mating drums. Girls stood tall and proud, their bodies painted, their skin glowing in the twin suns. And in the corner, hidden behind a stone, with dust on her face and sadness in her heart, she watched. She had brushed her tangled hair that morning. She had cleaned her torn cloth the best she could. Somewhere deep inside, a small hope still lived. Maybe someone would look at her today. Maybe someone would see past the crawling, but they didn't. One male laughed when he saw her peeking. "She thinks she's a female?" he said loudly. The others laughed too. Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't run. She couldn't run. She only lowered her head and whispered to herself, "I'm still alive. I'm still here." Suddenly, the air changed. Heavy boots stepped into the soft sand. A new scent drifted across the festival, strange, sharp, unfamiliar. Everyone turned. A tall figure walked slowly into the crowd. Not an alien, a human. His clothes were torn. His face was marked with a long scar. He looked strong, but quiet. Calm, watching. The crowd froze. Whispers ran through the village. A human? What is he doing here? He doesn't belong. But the human ignored the stares. His eyes scanned the area, studying each face, each female, until his gaze stopped on her. The Crawl Girl. She looked up and their eyes met. For a second, she forgot her shame, forgot her name, forgot the dust on her hands and the pain in her arms. Why was he looking at her? Slowly, he walked toward her. Every step felt like thunder in her ears. The crowd gasped. Some laughed again, thinking maybe he had made a mistake. But he didn't stop. He stood before her. And then, he knelt. Not to mock, not to humiliate, but to reach her eye level. Like an equal, she opened her mouth to speak, but no words came. Looked at her broken legs wrapped in dirty cloth, and said something she never expected. "Do you want to walk?" Her heart stopped. She blinked. "What?" she whispered. "I asked if you want to walk," he repeated. "To stand, to run, to never crawl again." Tears spilled from her eyes. "Don't play with me," she said. "They all play with me. I'm not them," the man replied softly. "I'm human. And humans don't leave the weak behind." The villagers laughed louder now. What does he want with her? She's no use, not even for breeding. But the man didn't care. He reached out his hand. For a moment, she hesitated. This could be a cruel trick, but his eyes, his voice, felt different. Slowly, with shaking arms, she reached out and touched his hand. He lifted her gently, carefully. And for the first time in her life, she wasn't crawling, she was in someone's arms. She was rising. The crowd fell silent. He turned, carrying her away from the festival, toward the large strange ship resting just outside the village walls. And as they vanished into the shimmering air, one voice whispered from the crowd, "Why her?" No one knew the answer, not yet, but something was about to begin, something no one could stop. The door of the human ship hissed open with a soft sound. Lights blinked inside, strange and alive, unlike anything she had seen in her village. The air smelled clean and cold. She clung to the human's shirt, nervous and afraid. "Where?" Where are you taking me? She asked in a small voice. To a place where no one will laugh at you again, he said. He set her gently on a soft bed made of warm material. She looked around, eyes wide. The walls moved, lights glowed, and screens showed shapes she couldn't understand. Machines whispered in the corners, speaking in strange hums. She felt like she didn't belong here. She was dirty, broken, useless, but the human didn't treat her that way. Instead, he brought warm water. He cleaned her cuts without flinching. He washed the dirt from her skin, combed her hair with his fingers, and covered her with a smooth, silver blanket. Then he said the words again. I can help you walk. She shook her head. My legs, they never grew right. They're not legs, they're just weight. He nodded. I know, but that doesn't mean you're hopeless. He opened a storage chamber. Inside were limbs metal, glowing softly. Not like machines, more like gifts from the stars. She gasped. What are those? Human engineering, he said. Legs that listen to your mind, built for those who were forgotten. You were born without legs, but you were never born without a future. Her heart pounded. Could this really happen? Could she truly walk? He knelt beside her and held out one of the legs. If you say yes, I'll make you stronger than anyone who ever laughed at you. She looked at the limb. It was beautiful, strong, smooth, alien, and yet perfect. I'm scared, she whispered. Good, he smiled. That means you're ready for something big. The next hours passed in flashes. The machines worked like healers, measuring her, scanning her muscles, reading her thoughts. She slept while tiny hands repaired old damage, whispered to her nerves, told her body it could do more than it ever had. When she woke, the human was sitting beside her, eyes tired but kind. Try now, he said. She looked down. Her legs were there, not cloth, not dead flesh, shining silver. Smooth metal curved like muscles, connected to her thighs. Moving gently. She gasped. They're mine? He nodded. Yours. With trembling hands she touched them. She focused, and the legs moved. Her toes curled, her knees bent. Her feet touched the floor. She stood. The room tilted. Her heart screamed. But she stood. She had never stood in her life. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she took her first step, then another. Then she laughed. A wild, broken laugh. The sound of someone who had been kept in a cage too long and was finally free. The human didn't laugh. He only watched her with eyes that said, I told you. You were never broken. Later, as she sat near the window, watching her village glow in the distance, she asked softly, Why did you help me? You don't know me. The human didn't look up. He was checking a machine, adjusting some settings. I saw someone drowning, he said. I don't walk away from that. She stared at him. Even if they're alien? Even if they're useless? You're not useless, he said. You're just waiting for your real story to begin. And something in her chest changed. That night, she looked at her legs, her body, her new reflection in the ship's smooth wall. She didn't just look like a different person. She felt like one, stronger, braver, reborn. But deep inside, something else began to grow, something no machine could measure. Warmth when she looked at him, a flutter when he spoke, and she didn't know it yet. But something more had changed inside her body. Something human. The stars were quiet above the village that once called her nothing. She stood now tall, graceful, walking on legs that gleamed under the moons. The human's technology had not only given her movement, it had given her dignity, strength, a new life. But the whispers hadn't stopped. They gave her legs, not a womb. She walks like us now, but she can never carry life. She's still broken inside. She heard them all, every word, every sneer. But she didn't lower her head this time. Instead, she walked through the center of the village, head high, eyes locked forward. Her long cloak swayed behind her. She no longer crawled. She no longer begged, and yet, the doubt still haunted her heart. Was she truly whole? Could she be a mother? She returned to the ship, quiet and thoughtful. The human was inside, checking data on the console. He looked up and smiled. Back already? She didn't smile back. Tell me the truth, she said. Did you fix only my legs, or all of me? He paused. I gave your body the tools, he said gently. But only you can find what's possible. She frowned. That's not an answer. He walked over and placed something small in her hand, a small glowing device. What is this? She asked. Scan pad, he said, for internal healing. Use it. She hesitated, then pressed it gently against her stomach. The device glowed, then beeped once, then again, then turned green. She stared at it, confused. What does it mean? She asked. The human walked over, looked at the reading, and blinked. It means, he whispered, you're not just whole. You're fertile. Her knees nearly gave out. She sat slowly, heart racing. No, she whispered. That can't be. They said my body was a shell. They were wrong, the human said quietly. Your body was waiting. It needed connection. It needed repair. Now, it's ready. She looked up at him. And if I wanted to bear a child, you could, he said. You're strong now, and alive in ways you weren't before. Then she asked the question that made the ship fall silent. If I wanted your child? His face changed. His mouth opened, then closed. He stepped back. His voice was tight. Why would you ask that? She stood up, slowly, calmly. You gave me legs. You gave me freedom. You didn't treat me like garbage. I see the way you look at me. You're afraid to say it, but I feel it too. He didn't speak. I'm not asking for love, she said. I'm asking for a future. One that no one believed I could ever have. He took a deep breath. You want me to give you a child? I want us to build something, she said. So that even if I die tomorrow, I'll know I carried something powerful, something made of mercy, strength, and hope. He turned away. His hand shook slightly. I never expected this. I never expected to walk, she replied. But I did. Because of you. Outside the ship, the moons shifted in the sky. Stars blinked softly. The silence between them grew deep, warm, and dangerous. I'll think about it, he said at last. She nodded once. That's all I ask. The next morning, something happened she never expected. The village healer came secretly to her ship. The old woman, who once spat at her shadow, now stood humbly at the doorway. I heard, she said softly. You walk, you bleed. You carry a womb again. She paused. It's not just healing. It's awakening. What do you want? The girl asked coldly. The healer bowed her head. I want to see your child when the time comes, she said. Because I think it will change everything. The girl said nothing, but behind her, the human watched. And inside him, a decision was forming. That night, when she stood beneath the sky, legs strong, heart burning, he stepped beside her. If you want this, he said, it won't be just biology. It will be family. I will protect you, and what we create. She turned, eyes wide. I do want this, she said. More than I ever wanted anything. And he gently touched her face. Then we start together. Asterisk, the night was too quiet. The twin moons hung above the valley like watching eyes. A cold wind brushed through the alien trees, rattling leaves like bones. She stood outside the humans' ship, staring at the stars. One hand rested on her stomach, flat now, but not for long. Inside, a quiet miracle had begun. A life, a child. Her child. The human had gone to the village to trade supplies. She stayed behind, practicing with her legs, learning to jump, to run, to defend. He had taught her well. She was faster now, sharper. She was not the crawl girl anymore. Then she heard it. A deep hum in the sky. Then silence, then a scream. Froze. Smoke rose from the direction of the village. A red flash tore across the horizon. Raiders. Not thieves, not slavers. Hunters. They came in the night when no one expected. They took females, killed the weak, burned what they couldn't steal. She ran to the edge of the hill. In the distance, she saw them, dark ships landing like insects, men with metal faces dragging villagers through the dust. And then she saw him, the human. He stood in front of the central square, alone, unarmed, facing 6 raiders. With guns, she could barely hear his voice, but she saw his lips move. Let them go. They didn't. They opened fire, she screamed. But before the blasts could reach him, he dove forward, rolled, grabbed one of their rifles. The next seconds were fire and fury. She turned and ran toward them, metal legs pounding the ground like thunder. She no longer feared her own weakness. This time, she ran to fight. The village burned. Children cried. Elders bled. The raiders laughed, stomping through homes like monsters. She arrived just as one of the masked invaders raised a weapon toward a screaming girl. She tackled him mid-air. Her legs, forged from human steel, crushed him beneath her. He didn't get up. She took his weapon. She didn't know how to aim. But rage guided her hands. She fired at the next man. He dropped. From the shadows, the human emerged, covered in dust and blood. A long gash ran across his shoulder. His eyes locked on hers. You came, he said. I wasn't going to wait, she answered. This is my fight too. They stood back to back, guarding the young and the helpless. Together, they pushed the raiders back inch by inch. When the last of the black ships fled into the sky, the silence returned, but this time, it was filled with smoke and tears. The village was broken, but the people were alive, thanks to them. That night, under a broken roof, she helped wrap his wounds. He winced but didn't stop her. You saved them, he whispered. You saved me first, she said. Now it was my turn. He looked at her, really looked. You're not just strong now, he said. You're dangerous. She smiled. Good. They'll think twice before calling me useless again. He reached for her hand, and then he asked, Do you want to stay here? Raise the child among your own. She froze. Her eyes drifted over the village. Burned houses. Frightened children. Elders who once called her worthless now looked at her with fear. And something close to respect. But she knew deep inside, they would never accept her completely, or the child. Not truly. She turned back to him. No, she said. I want to go where no one remembers me crawling. I want our child to walk in a place where no one whispers shame. He nodded. I know a planet. Empty, safe, green. Her voice cracked. Will you come with me? He didn't answer with words. He just took her hand and squeezed it gently. The land was quiet. They had left the village behind, its fires, its judgment, its cruelty. Now they lived alone, on a planet with soft blue grass and quiet winds. There were no elders to curse her name, no eyes to judge her body, no voices to call her unworthy. Here, the only sound was peace. And her heartbeat. Her child was growing inside her. Each day she placed her hand on her belly, and each time it felt stronger, more real. It wasn't just a child. It was proof that she could walk and carry, proof that something beautiful could come from pain. The human built them a home, metal bones of a ship mixed with stone and solar glass. He grew food in long white boxes. He taught her about stars, storms, and machines that could speak, and she learned quickly. Because now she had a reason to learn, not just to live, but to protect. Every night, as she sat by the fire and felt the baby shift, her thoughts drifted back to her old village. Would they still mock her? Or fear her? Would they try to take what she had? She shook off the thought. But she didn't know. The village council had already spoken her name again, and this time, not in whispers. Back on her homeworld, panic was spreading. Their females were growing weaker. less fertile. Mating numbers were dropping. No births in months. The elders believed they were cursed. Until a messenger came from the burned village. He spoke of her. She was born broken, he said. Now she walks. She carries a hybrid child. They gasped. A human child? Stronger than any of ours, the messenger said. I saw her. I saw the power in her arms. I saw her legs metal fast, unstoppable. The elders' eyes burned with envy. If she births a strong one, they whispered, our females will become useless. If she succeeds, others will follow her. No one will want the old ways. They agreed on one thing. She could not be allowed to rise that far away. She felt the change. Her body was heavy now, her walk slower. But her spirit unshakable. One morning, the human found her training with weapons he thought she had forgotten. You should be resting, he said. I am preparing, she replied. He stared at her, confused. For what? For the moment peace breaks. He didn't argue. He knew she was right. That night, as stars passed low across the sky, she looked into the fire and spoke softly. Do you think they'll come? They will, he answered. And will you fight again? For me? He turned toward her. For us. Then he knelt and pressed his ear gently to her stomach. He smiled. She kicked, he said. She? She whispered. He nodded. A daughter. Tears filled her eyes. She'll never crawl, she whispered. Never beg. She'd be born walking in fire. She'd be a queen, he said. No, she corrected him. She'd be something greater. The next dawn brought dark ships. She saw them first, small black dots on the edge of the clouds. Growing larger, louder dots. She stepped outside, hand on her stomach, eyes sharp. The human joined her, rifle slung over his shoulder. They came early, he said. They came scared, she answered. The ships landed. Elders stepped out, guarded by warriors in golden armor. They did not bow. They didn't even look her in the eye. We've come for the child, one elder said coldly. She laughed once, sharp and short. You already lost that right, she replied. You will doom your people, another snapped. We can't allow a new bloodline to destroy tradition. You already destroyed yourselves, she said. When you left me to crawl in the dirt. When you spat on a girl instead of helping her rise. They raised weapons. The human raised his too. But she stepped forward and said something that stopped the wind. You can kill me, but my daughter will still be born. And when she walks, your empire will fall beneath her feet. The warriors hesitated. Some lowered their guns, one by one. They backed away, because they saw it now, not a broken girl, but a mother, and behind her stood a human who would burn galaxies for her. Asterisk. They didn't return to the village. They didn't go back to war. They stayed in exile, but it wasn't loneliness anymore. It was freedom. She lived under silver skies, raising her hands to touch starlight, metal legs planted deep into the soft soil of their hidden world. She was no longer the girl who crawled. She was the woman who had survived, and inside her womb, a child of two worlds was growing stronger every day. Every breath she took was no longer just for herself, but for the tiny heartbeat that echoed within. She trained harder now, faster, fiercer. She moved with fire in her blood and steel in her steps. The human had given her legs, but now she gave herself purpose. The baby was close. She could feel it. Every kick told her this child would not be born crying but roaring. And then one morning, the sky cracked open. Ships. Not small raider crafts, war cruisers. Not one, not two, six. She watched them fall from the clouds like dark blades slicing through peace. The human ran to her side. They found us, he said quietly. They feared us, she corrected. Now they want to erase us. But they won't, he said. She didn't reply. She only walked inside, touched her belly, and whispered, "It's time." The ships circled overhead. Broadcasts boomed across the valley. "Give us the hybrid. Turn over the human. Break the cycle or we will." The messages came in every language, except mercy. She stepped outside, wrapped in silver cloth. Her stomach round, her body glowing. "I won't give you my child," she said to the sky. The humans stood beside her, holding weapons powered by Earth's forgotten wars. They waited, but no response came, not words. Only the sound of doors opening and troops landing. The battle had begun. The first wave came at nightfall, silent soldiers in black armor. She met them head-on, metal legs driving through dirt, faster than sound. She knocked one down, stole his weapon, and fired. The human covered her side, moving like thunder through the trees. They were two shadows dancing in firelight, unstoppable. But the enemy was endless. Their numbers stretched across the hills. Soon, even the human began to tire, and she, carrying life within, began to feel the weight. She stumbled. He caught her. "We can't hold them forever," he said. "I don't need forever," she whispered. "I just need one more sunrise." They fell back to the ship, locked the doors, set up the defense walls. Outside, the enemy gathered. Inside, the baby was coming. Pain shot through her. She screamed, not from weakness, but from power. The human held her hand. "You're doing it." "I can't stop now," she said through gritted teeth. Not after crawling through a life of shame. Another contraction hit her. She cried out, tears burning down her cheeks. The ship shook. Explosions outside. Sparks flew inside. But she held on. And then, a cry, high and pure. The child was born. A girl. Tiny. Strong. Alive. The human wrapped the baby in cloth. Hands shaking. "She's perfect," he whispered. The child opened her eyes. One glowing green, like her mother. One burning blue, like her father. The battle outside slowed. Some soldiers stopped firing. Others stared at the ship in silence. Then, the front lines broke, not because of weapons, but because of her. She stepped out of the ship, holding her child in her arms. Blood on her skin. Fire behind her. And yet, calm. Unshaken. Powerful. She looked at the enemy and shouted, "This is the child you feared. This is the future you tried to bury. But you can't erase me anymore. I was born crawling. I rose walking. And now I stand as a mother of a new age." No one fired. They simply lowered their weapons. And began to fall back, because the war was over, and the world had changed. The battlefield was quiet now. No more gunfire. No more screams. Only the soft wind, brushing over scorched trees, broken weapons, and soldiers who no longer wanted to fight. She stood among them, tall, proud, glowing with sweat and blood. Her metal legs shimmered beneath her torn silver robe. In her arms, the newborn child slept peacefully, as if she didn't hear the war. Her cry had ended. This child wasn't just a baby. She was a symbol. A beginning. A challenge to everything that had ever said, "You're not enough." The human stood beside them, his body bruised but spirit strong. He had fought to protect her, to protect them both. And now, he had a family. For the first time in her life, the girl who once crawled on broken ground felt something more than survival. She felt complete. News spread quickly, across villages, across worlds. A hybrid child was born. She walks on human-made legs. She carries the strength of both bloodlines. Some called her a miracle. Others called her a mistake. But no one ignored her, not anymore. The council sent envoys, not soldiers this time, but elders and scholars. They came with quiet steps and lowered eyes. They bowed before her hut, made of metal and stone. One spoke. "We once believed your body was broken." "You were wrong," she replied calmly. "We once thought no man would want you." "He gave me more than want," she said. "He gave me wings." They looked at the child in her arms. "May we see her?" She hesitated. Then slowly turned the blanket back. The child's eyes opened, glowing, steady, quiet as stars. And every elder who saw her knew the future had arrived. Not in fire, but in the arms of someone they had cast aside. She built a council of her own, not of power-hungry leaders, but of healers, makers, builders, teachers. She welcomed the broken, the cast-off, the weak, the forgotten. She gave them new names, new legs, new paths. The human showed others how to craft with earth tech, how to combine biology and machine without losing the soul. Together, they created a new colony, not ruled by bloodline, but by choice. And her daughter? She grew fast. At only 2 cycles. She ran faster than most adults. She could climb, build, learn languages in days. And when she asked her mother why she had one glowing green eye and one glowing blue, her mother smiled. Because you were born from 2 kinds of strength, she said. One that crawled through shame, one that fought with fire. And both refused to give up. Years passed, and one day, a traveler from a far galaxy arrived. He came to study the colony, to understand how one girl without legs had changed the shape of history. He asked the question everyone still whispered: how did it all begin? And the woman, now older, now a leader, walked into the edge of a quiet field. She sat under the same tree where she had once felt her baby kick, and she told him the truth. I was born crawling. They said I was useless. They said I couldn't walk, couldn't breed, couldn't matter. But one man looked at me and didn't see what was missing. He saw what was waiting to rise. And when I rose, she said, the world had to rise with me. That night, as stars filled the sky, her daughter stood beside her, looking at the moons. Mother, she said softly, what should I become? Her mother touched her shoulder and smiled. Whatever you want, she said. Because no one will ever crawl again.